It says Swiss made all over the place here.
So much everywhere. the singularly most Swiss made watch there is. Who else is covering this watch?
There's so many Swiss flags everywhere. It's insulting my eyes.
It's like being in a Swiss railway station. Right,
and
so
let me say one more
this?
time. Tudor times Visa Cash App RB Formula One team. That's how they shorten it for their site.
We will start our show proper, so let's get clapping. So 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. It is like a sort of bunch of slightly reprobate seals clapping just randomly in the background.
Someone has like a full minute of latency. I think it's Ariel.
Ripley appears to have frozen, or is he just sitting really still? No, he's just sitting really still, it turns out.
I just saw this picture of the first like sunset on Mars, and they said, "Oh, you're the first generation to see the sunset on another planet that's not like moon, like on Mars." And the first comment was, "Yeah, my town still doesn't have decent internet." So basically, maybe that's where we are with all of it.
That's priorities. That's where we've got to. Well, thank you for joining us this morning. If you haven't listened to the preamble on aBlogtoWatchWeekly live on YouTube, then you've missed the great revelation about which watch brand is going to be the next brand on the new John Wick movie. So I suggest, if you really want to know what that is, you get on to aBlogtoWatchWeekly Live and check out the new John Wick watch. We shall not be talking about it again so as not to give the game away. Isn't that right, Ariel?
I haven't discussed anything. No, I have. You just want to hear about it.
You just won't hear about it ever again. Go and look in the show notes and you might get a clue, maybe, if we can be bothered. Meanwhile, Ariel is hiding in his cabin in the woods because as far as life, and he's had a haircut to go with it. Is it... I was going to say, do we need to just get you to pan the camera in case this haircut is part of you like tooling up as a proper survivalist? You know, there's 14 rifles in the background and, you know, tins of beans and things, and you're just getting ready because it's all going a bit post-apocalyptic out there right now.
Yeah, that's where I go for my 2-3 day adventures. I just pretend I'm a survivalist and I go back to LA. You pin me.
Exactly. Excellent. Well, how is everybody else this morning? Ripley, how are you?
I'm all right.
Oh dear, I think Ripley needs some encouragement. Ripley, this is a safe space. Is there something you need to speak to us about? Is the wall getting you down?
No, just disappointed. I watched preseason testing on F1. Saw very few watches. Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
Very few watches.
So after the last, the highlight of F1 this year is actually going to be last week's show.
You guys will be proud. One of the things you taught me came in handy in real life.
Oh,
which is?
Do tell.
I was at Target with my son at the toy section, and he saw the cars, and there was little Formula One cars. And he was looking through them, and he picked up the black and turquoise one for. I don't think the Haas one was there. There was a McLaren one at first, and he liked the colors of Mercedes more. And he picks up the box, and I said, "Oh, look at this picture." He's like, "Who are these pictures?" Like, those are the drivers. And I look, I was like, "That's Lewis Hamilton." I was like, "He's not there anymore. He's moved on to Ferrari." And I knew that the box was now a collector's item.
So you bought,
that's cool.
So you
I
bought
felt like
all
the biggest
stock.
nerd at Target.
Well done.
Excellent. We're glad to educate, if nothing else, on this show. So
I bought it.
I
I had to buy it. Yes.
You had to buy it.
Yes,
But did you buy two? One to be allowed to be opened and play with, and one to be put away?
No, none are allowed to be opened.
just all sat in the corner in their shrink wrap next to
You just
the
have
pile
to
of
admire
Pateks.
it until he's too old to care.
What's the Patek phrase? It's not bought for you, for future generations or whatever. This is to be passed down.
I'll let you make up the phrase.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, they do anyway, so that's fine. David, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. What am I seeing? Oh no, it's your mic. I'm thinking, what am I seeing in the background? Is it a pair of skis? But it's not. It's actually your Rode microphone stand. Is the way it's positioned in the screen. All sleek and white. See, David had to go for the white one.
Yeah, because the black one has the obnoxious logo on it, and it just looks like, this is much nicer.
Yeah, David's thinking about his visual and thing. Although it does look like you've got is that like a helium balloon on the top of the cabinet behind you?
Yeah, and
I realize
something with a heart on it, with a cheesy message on it from my mom, and this is like hilarious. It's like, like every single line is in a different typography.
Welcome to the world of Omega.
Yeah, like that's just so cute.
Go on, read it to us. What's the message say?
I think it's
in Hungarian,
about.
Or is it in English?
No, it's in Hungarian, of course. It's how every day is a new possibility, basically, and that you should have hope. Why there is a heart telling me that on a flower, I don't know, but
and are you
I appreciate the message.
Are you going to be able to keep the flower alive, or are you one of these people that gets houseplants and then promptly kills them?
I'm a terrible flower owner, plant owner. So probably that message is for the plant more than me.
That's right. Every day
is a new hope. I might give you water.
Good stuff. Right. Well, let's talk some watches. David, you came across a report, the screenshot of which I shall share. Unfortunately, it's in minute text, so I don't know how well it'll display on the YouTube channel, but we shall share it nonetheless. So there we go. This is a 2023 to 2024 comparison of some numbers. What is disturbing you about these numbers, and where did you get them from?
These are from the Morgan Stanley report of 2023-2024. These are all over the internet. Well, I think it's always interesting to see how, things have shifted. And what I spotted, I've not spent too much time looking at this because I just came across this, in greater detail last night, is the drops in terms of quantity. Overall, 2023, the top 50 watch brands shipped 15,900,000 watches. And last year, that dropped by 2.6 million, 13.3 million, so that's quite a big drop. And I see, what I spot is like Longines going from 1.6 million watches in 2023 to 950,000. So that's a drop of 650,000 watches in just a year. I'm just not sure how that happened and how that came about. I thought we could discuss.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all of the Swatch ones, I mean, Tissot down 500,000. Swatch itself, obviously, the heat coming off the Moon Swatch possibly is down 1 million nearly. What's happening at Swatch Group? Is it as was trailed last week, the beginning of the end?
I have a alternative perspective that may be what's going on. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Is this happening? Are you just thinking alternatively because you're living in a cabin in the woods? Is that this is a whole alternative lifestyle you're taking up, as well as thinking about the watch world? Sure, I'm being a bit
iconoclastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good. We like that. Go for it.
So, no doubt this is hurting them from a profitability standpoint. You see the numbers are down. That's clear. No one's going to argue that. I'm not going to say that they're doing well. Yet, they may be doing this to themselves on purpose. They may be seeing this as corrective. They may be seeing this as a response to them producing a lot more watches they could ever hope to sell. They've seen how scarcity for a lot of other brands has done well. And outside of some of the, limited edition Omegas and stuff like that, the Swatch times and Omega, the Swatch Group has never really had a scarce success. So they may be wanting to see, how can we do this? A lot of other brands have done well. We've had a little bit of success within our own ecosystem. Maybe we need to scale back. Maybe that's one of the problems we have. It's not like we're going to grow in China and the East and a lot of places like Eastern Europe and Russia. Parts of Asia, North America are going to do well. Europe is a big question. So they may be intentionally scaling back numbers because having too many watches will just further make the problem longer, because these are all watches that need to be sold on the gray market or destroyed. So I'm just suggesting they may be proactively producing less in anticipation of having to reset a lot of things, not caring what the markets think, is knowing this is going to be something that takes 5, maybe 10 years to really see through as an entire cycle. But that may be a lot of what's going on here.
I mean, as you go down these numbers, some of them jump out at me. One in particular, Zenith. Zenith producing 10,000 watches.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, that's tiny. I mean, you look at Rolex. I mean, we do talk about Rolex a lot. I don't think we talk disproportionately about it in this show. But when you look at the numbers, we really just should only talk about Rolex. And then the occasional major, like, fancy watch that's produced by, I don't know, MB&F or somebody. Because there really is no other show in town unless you consider Longines, Tissot and Swatch, which don't do a lot of very interesting product very often. And everything else is basically Rolex. But for a brand like Zenith to be producing 10,000 watches, why do we even ever talk about them? They're just
because they should be selling more. I mean 10,000 is 0.8% of Rolex.
It's damn. And then a brand like Oris dropping from 52,000 to 40,000 watches.
Is anybody surprised though? I'm not. We've been talking crap about their habits, about their marketing, about the prices going up. We've been saying this. The only one that surprises me, honestly, is Tudor. I can explain it, but it's somewhat of a surprise. That's it. That's the only area I'm surprised.
Let's tell the folks what we're looking at. Tudor dropped from 255,000 in 2023 to a mere 160,000. So almost 100,000 watches, almost 40% of its production is gone from 23 to 24 of Tudor, according to Morgan Stanley. That's a big drop.
That's just weird.
My suspicion is that while Rolex has a lot of natural mentions, meaning they get what we might call free advertising, Tudor does not get comparably as much. But Tudor, and they probably will change because now they have to, has not had the awareness and the marketing power that Rolex has had. So despite them being great watches at great value, which they are, they just haven't been in your face enough. People haven't been thinking about it enough. It's actually a really good demonstration of what happens when you don't market. So I think that, for me, is how I would best explain that. They just got maybe too comfortable being the little kid sibling of Rolex and thought that would be enough.
I mean, do you think if you ask most watch geeks that would listen to this and ask them what is the percentage difference between Rolex and Tudor, that folk would say, oh, Tudor's 10% the size of Rolex? Or do you think I think most folk would think that Tudor was like half the size. I think some people would even think that Tudor's bigger than Rolex in terms of number of watches produced. Maybe not turnover, because it's cheaper. Whereas actually Tudor's doing nothing. It's contributing very, very little to the overall. I mean, they killed off Carl F. Bucherer for doing not very much. Is there not an argument like, why are they bothering? Why are they bothering producing 160,000 Tudor watches a year when they could use that production to produce more Rolexes and sell them straight out the door, no problem at all? Why bother?
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense, these numbers are good because they show that the things we love aren't made in these huge, insane volumes. Like, it's not tiny volumes, but it's not crazy. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Mm-hmm. No worries. Yeah, I think there's a correction. I don't think it's all drama here, but we also see, sometimes I saw a couple of brands who dropped, almost to half and they still ended up making the same amount of revenue, right? So that can happen, which is fine. I agree that, with the overproduction, gray market, discounting, all the rest of it has been hurting the watch industry as some of these big brands that we know and love, big time over the last 10, 15, 20 years, maybe sometimes, right? So the correction I see, Tudor is very interesting because, as you say, Rick, it's not a rounding error, but almost 360 million Swiss francs of turnover over Rolex is 10.5 billion. It's almost a rounding error. But what Rolex can do with Tudor is test the waters, test technologies, test materials, test reaction of the audience, and also I think it's good to have Tudor. I'm not against it at all. I just think that there's so much more potential in that brand than what is being realized now. So maybe it's a corrective measure at this point. And in 3 weeks, it's Watches and Wonders. So who knows? Maybe we will see something that's exciting.
Yeah. So I'm not quite sure how they've managed to say that it's gone up, because look at this, Tag Heuer's numbers went down, but it's got a green arrow. So unless it's a revenue number, but Tag is now the biggest contributor to watch revenue at LVMH, and presumably that's going to grow, or they want it to grow. They need it to grow. I mean, 380,000 watches does not sound like the quantity of watches you need to be selling to support an investment in Formula One, especially when those watches are on average What's the price differential? Tag Heuer $2,000 in comparison to Rolex's $12,000. So it's not the kind of numbers you kind of need that number to double because of your sponsorship, I would suggest. The success stories in this, obviously, Rolex, Cartier, not unexpected. Then Audemars Piguet, Patek, Richard Mille all showing improvement. Tag, Bulgari showing an improvement. Van Cleef & Arpels watches. Somebody's deciding to buy Van Cleef & Arpels an additional 500 watches there over the year, so maybe just an aberration. Frederic Constant seems to be one of the few brands there that is genuinely doing better in a sense that's not a rounding error. It would appear. Anything good going on? Is this to do with Frederic Constant's leadership or Citizen's overarching guidance?
So what's the metric you're looking at here? Are you looking at the number of watches they made or another metric?
I'm looking at a bit of both, and the fact that it's got a nice green arrow for the simpletons like me next to it.
It went from 70 million to 104 million in revenue and went up to 104,000 watches from 70,000. So it's a big jump in terms of like a 40% jump in revenue and production.
So it seemed to be doing something different. So I don't know if that's the leadership.
I think they're just able to make more. I think one of the issues I've heard for years from them is that they struggle to make as many watches. This might just be where demand is at for them. I think it's interesting here that FP Journe went from 1,800 watches to 1,900 watches. and a big jump I'm actually seeing here. It's a brand we like to make fun of a lot for their marketing, but Franck Muller. It looks like about, 50% increase, actually. If I'm looking here correctly, was about 21,000 before, and then
31,000.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
There we go. Let's hail the return of Franck Muller.
I don't know what that means. Are those watches hitting wrists? But something's going on over there. They turned the engines back on.
Yeah. Ripley, your reflections on this as you're in a relaxed mood.
That's a lot of Franck Mullers I'm not seeing anywhere. I don't know. That's probably the most surprising amount of this. I think we do always forget how large Rolex is relative to everyone else. But I don't see any Franck Mullers, let alone an increase of that size. You think you might see one somewhere outside of Watchland, but absolutely not. I have to start looking for them more, I guess.
It is also... Yeah, if you want to, so hashtag Franck Muller spotting, if you want to get involved. The fact that this is saying 13.5 million watches, of which Rolex is 1.1 million watches, it does make me wonder where all the other watches are, because all you really see on folk is Rolexes. Unless it's G-Shocks or something, or Apple watches. So where is the other 90% of the watches on people's wrists? Because I ain't seeing them walking down the street. I'm not seeing 9 other watch brands from Switzerland before I'm seeing a Rolex. I'm seeing 7 Rolexes, or 5 Rolexes, 4 Apple watches, and something else, a fashion. Where are all these watches hiding? Are they all in safe somewhere, or are they just all in retailers? Because I assume this is the wholesale supply. Are they just sitting there waiting to be sold because nobody's buying? It's all very well Zenith only producing 10,000 watches, but are they actually even selling 10,000 watches?
Well, they better. I mean, I might just go out and buy... some of you could go out, if you're very rich, you could go out and buy all the Zenith that was made in 2024 and then manipulate the market. You own the supply.
Yeah, so which watch do we want to make
as a point of reference, 10,000. I'm pretty sure Omega made a Seamaster limited edition James Bond of 10,007 units. So
Wow, that's correct.
A limited, so that should be our final judgment. Is if you make more watches in your limited edition, the Zenith make in total, you're not allowed to call it a limited edition. So 10,000 is now the official. That's the official line in the sand in terms of limited editions.
They should just call it Zenith plus 7. You know, but it's funny, but it's also sad. I mean, I freaking love Zenith, and I think they've had some better watches the last couple of years. I think they deserve, well, not deserve, but I think that, you know, they should be much higher than this, than where they are currently.
Well, let's talk about one of those brands' watches, and a call back to last week's show. Now that Ariel is an expert in Formula One, you can tell us how much of an expert he is on the Tudor Black Bay Ceramic Visa Blue Master Chronometer watch. Ariel, in real life, good, bad, or indifferent?
I like it. But I also like it because it's not for everyone. It's not what you think of when you think of Tudor, but it actually has some of the best elements right now. The ceramic case for the price, the master chronometer movement, which it's literally a Swiss middle finger to Omega, which I find so unbelievably amusing. Tudor actually sees themselves as an Omega competitor. We just discussed how volume-wise, you know, it's interesting how those compare. Obviously, Tudor's a smaller one, so they're an underdog compared to Omega. So it's like Omega wants to compete with Rolex, but Rolex is like, no, you can compete with Tudor. And Omega doesn't want to acknowledge it, but it's basically true. So again, this one has the black movement that you can see. That's uncommon for Tudor watches. It's got, you know, this blue dial, which I know it's Ripley's favorite team. I think that's what I remember him saying. You know,
Look at Ariel with a callback of Formula One facts. That's 2 this week.
It's cool looking. It's way thicker than it needs to be, but it's basically anti-magnetic and accurate. It doesn't have a date to deal with. It's more legible than the black version, a little bit more special. I would definitely take it off that strap. If I got this watch ever, I'd ask you guys for a recommendation of what strap to put on it. But yeah, I like this one, but it's not for everyone.
The strap does look like it's made of foam. You know those big like things for football stadiums with the big thumbs up or the big, you know, pointy
Imagine
finger
if it was
thing.
that rigid.
It looks like it's made of that kind of stuff.
No, it's
Tudor.
like rubber with, I think, a leather lining. I guess they're style-wise okay. I've never really liked these things. I think like a blue NATO strap would be really cool on this. I don't know. Something else.
And is there any reference to the Formula One team on the watch?
Yeah, only the color. Intentionally, they didn't put... And to be fair, given how many times this team has changed its name, you can't really fault them for not putting it anywhere on the watch. But yeah, specifically by design, there's no branding whatsoever aside from the fact that the dial color itself is the Visa Pantone blue.
Right, okay. I just don't associate Visa with blue. Is that an American thing?
What color is Visa? You think of the logo. Is it not blue and white?
I think of Visa. I don't think of any particular color. I have to say,
yeah, neither do I.
It doesn't have a strong color association for me. Yeah, I suppose it is blue. Yeah, okay.
At least it's not MasterCard when it would be like orange and white or whatever it is, like two ugly colors next to one another on a watch dial. They just went with this purplish blue. That's okay.
I just don't think it. I don't think it's got a strong color association. Visa, yes, the logo is blue, but it's not what I don't know.
But that's what I like. When I look at it, I don't think, oh, that's that goddamn Visa color. Like, I know it for someone that wants to say Visa, Cash App, whatever those other stupid letters are.
Yeah, there's not enough room on the case back because it's a display case back to print the team's full name. Visa, Cash App, Red Bull, Racing Bull. Like, there's no, they did what they could. This is perfect as is. I don't think you need a heavily branded watch. It's kind of like when you have all of the words of the watch written on the dial, like automatic, self-winding, water resistant, let the thing do what it does. It doesn't need to say it explicitly.
Except this one does say master chronometer rather than
Well, I
needlessly
mean, how
on the
else
dial.
are you going to give the big Swiss middle finger to Omega other than by using the Metis vernacular? But that is the actual lingo of Metis certification. It is a master chronometer. That is what they call it, versus the COSC certification. And it is kind of a big thing for them. If you look at the price delta between the non-Metis Tudor movements and what they charge for the Metis ones, it's really not that much of a difference. But given that one's kind of a generic movement certification and the other's an actual assessment of the complete watch, I guess it does matter more.
I'm just checking here in other Tudors. Does this not say Swiss made on it? It doesn't say Swiss made on it, at least not in the photos I'm looking at. Is it not made in Switzerland?
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, I think it says it on the bottom there. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Does it?
I wouldn't
You're
care.
not obliged for it to say it. It's not.
It doesn't say Swiss made. I'm okay. Conspiracy theory time. Let's have a look and see. Does it say it in the case back? Where's a case back picture? Come on, Ariel. How far along in your article did you write? Case back?
There it is.
Does it say Swiss made? Tudor caliber. It does not say Swiss made anywhere on this watch. I don't think it does.
It must be made somewhere else, somewhere worse.
What the crap?
Who could have put this watch together?
Yeah,
what
to be
dirty hands could have assembled this gorgeous design?
Yeah, they spat in it. Oh my
where do you think they make? Where do you think they make Visa cards? Is it in the same factory? Is that they're sent like I've got a wee machine that you can use to make guitar picks out of old credit cards. Like
that sounds
cuts
useful.
The guitar. It's very useful. Like it's obviously what every guitar player needs. It cuts the guitar picks. Is it possible that the dial from this watch is actually made in the factory where they assemble the cards, and that's why they can't put Swiss made on it, because they're sending the bits out, say, just cut out the bit of the blue bit of the card and just stick it in there and stick all this other stuff on it, and we can't put Swiss made on it because the cards are made in Vietnam or something. I'm
just imagining them having watchmakers right on the field, like in the paddock, like while the race is happening, while the dust and everything blowing. They're like, we couldn't say it was made in Switzerland because we made it here on the track with all the grit and dirt and oil and pieces of tire right inside, and like the wind is blowing the little screwdrivers everywhere, and everything's just going loose, and the watchmakers are screaming.
So I just noticed something. I do not see this watch on Tudor's website.
It's in there.
I was looking to see if
did it disappear already? Did our coverage make it sell out?
I was looking to see, yes, clearly, my love for the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls that I professed on last week's episode just clearly made it. I wanted to go see where it says Swiss made. We might not be able to see it just because of the curvature. It's on the outside of the little chapter.
I found
ring,
it. But it's on the website. And it does say Swiss made on it.
No, it's funnier when we've angered someone.
Where's it say? Right. Where am I going?
No, this whole thing is just crumbled. For one, it's on the website, and for two, it does say Swiss made on it. So this whole thing is just like
no. Fake news. And how dare you turn up not wearing a tie? Fake news. I expect you to be in a suit next time, David. That's just fake news that this has got nothing to do.
I found the
with
link, by the way.
Right, okay. David said
I already put it in the chat.
All right, okay. Let's show on the stream. Oh, this is a new function on Riverside. I've not seen this before. How does this work? It says show on the stream. I feel like I'm in Ghostbusters and this is about to go horribly wrong.
Here's the problem, Rick. You didn't realize that it was a daring watch. Did you not know it was a daring watch? That's the problem.
The regular Black Bay Ceramic falls into the Black Bay category, but this one's not going to be under that. It's not daring. The black is not daring. Blue is.
Maybe you live to dare and you wear it, but it's not a daring watch according to the website. Classification.
So
nothing makes sense anymore.
Nothing makes sense. Who else has covered this watch? I want to just check something as to whether.
It says Swiss made all over the place here.
So much everywhere. the singularly most Swiss made watch there is. Who else is covering this
There's
watch?
so many Swiss flags everywhere. It's insulting my eyes.
It's like being in a Swiss railway station. Right,
And
so
let me say
where
one more
is
time. Tudor times
Right.
Visa Cash App RB Formula One team. That's how they shorten it for their site.
Right, I can't get this link to work. Oh, there we go. So there's the. I need to stop sharing this and start sharing. I see what the problem is here.
You can do this, Rick.
I can do this. I can be trusted with this. There we go.
Yes, and
right.
it says
So there's
just under 6 o'clock. But you know, they're on this picture to the right.
Yeah.
No, not that one. The other one.
There we go.
But why isn't it populating if you go to like the Black Bay product like category page?
Because it's a daring watch.
It's daring you to find it on the website. We've held off doing this for a while, but aren't watch websites at the moment just absolutely atrocious?
Well,
Yes.
they can either make good watches
Many
or
grinding
good
gears that already
websites,
been
and they've
dedicated to
chosen
this.
the watches, clearly.
Yes.
This is Ariel Adams with a message about Citizen watches. Did you know that for years, Atessa models have been the best-selling titanium watch in their category in Japan? Citizen debuted their very first titanium case in 1970 and has spent 55 years perfecting the high-performance material for watchmaking. Since 1987, the Atessa family of timepieces has been where Citizen has showcased their latest and greatest technology. This includes the masterfully durable and lightweight super titanium case and bracelet material, as well as miniaturized communication technology that has allowed its light-powered eco-drive hardware to communicate with atomic clock radio waves or global positioning satellite signals. Atessa was born in the high-paced commuter metropolis of Tokyo, where being on time is just as important as being stylish. Atessa is a mature companion for booking a bullet train to enjoying omakase cuisine with friends, and is always fully made in Japan. The latest 2025 Citizen Atessa EcoDrive satellite wave GPS watches introduce ceramic bezels and a brand new case and bracelet shape. When Citizen merges its greatest inventions with thoughtful design and beauty, the result is Atessa. Explore the full range on the Citizen Watch website now.
Well, I am sticking to my conspiracy that the press piece does not say Swiss made on it. Was it working? Was it a working model?
Not.
Did it tick?
You just sent Ariel a fake.
It did have a movement in it. Yeah. Good. Right. Okay. Well, let's move from Tudor to I've lost my space because of all the mucking around on the website, to something that David reviewed. So for 10% of your Tudors, you can get 90% of your Rolexes. So where is this? Rolex Day-Date 36. We don't often review these. What inspired you to review a Day-Date 36 with specifically Roman numerals? Was it been watching Gladiator or something?
For one, yes, and for two, I don't think they were wearing these at the time.
That's why you fought to win this watch. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, there's a movie coming out. There's a movie coming out. It's going to, have watches as historical things that.
When Gladiator 4 comes out, I want the 4 from this watch when it's just like 4 ones and not IV, but like 4 eyes basically. To confuse everybody.
Was it not Gladiator, the original Gladiator, that there was a prop mistake and there was like a Mini or something sitting in the corner of the arena? Was that not Gladiator? Yeah. There was like a motor car.
There were many mistakes. There's this like close-up of the guy's shoe and it's like a modern, basically laced shoe with like modern soles and everything. It was just so weird. It's all kinds of issues in there. But anyway, this watch I think is really cool. I've been, I've envied these destructed or deconstructed Roman numerals from the Day-Date 40 for quite some time. I think those debuted back in 2015 or something like that. And then Rolex updated the Day-Date 36 in 2019, but it took them all the way until 2024 to bring these small, cool-looking numerals, very three-dimensional applied numerals to the 36. And this is basically what Rolex considers to be a base dial for the Day-Date 36, which is to say that this is the cheapest Day-Date 36 you can buy. And what's interesting is that in 5 years, the base dial Day-Date 36 in yellow gold went from $29,000 US to $39,000 US. So $10,000 price hike in just 5 years. That's quite steep, if you ask me.
Yes, this is a smidgen. Is the Day-Date 36 the most classic of Rolexes? Is that what you think, a Day-Date or a Datejust? When you think Rolex, or how you got into understanding Rolex, what's the watch that was the initial, there's a Rolex?
You could say the Datejust, but in terms of proportions and style and overall vibe, I think the modern Datejust is further away from its 1945 original than the Day-Date is. I think the Day-Date has remained, especially the 36, of course, remained the closest in terms of the impression that it makes to its original. I think there's no doubt about it. You could argue that it's also the Submariner in some way, but again, the Sub feels more robust, just a different vibe. This has always been a gold watch. And of course, the bracelet is much better made now than it was in the 1950s and later on. And the movement has different functionalities. It's a more advanced watch. But in terms of vibe, when you put it on, I think this is the closest to the original Rolexes,
Ripley, thoughts on the most influential Rolex? Is this
influential? I mean, I think the quintessential Rolex is probably like the two-tone Datejust on a Jubilee bracelet. Influential, I guess you can give it to the Datejust as well, since it is the reason we have date windows in the way that they are on watches. The Submariner, you could say it's the most influential since it sort of set the blueprint for the modern dive watch. But the Day-Date is Rolex's flagship. After the Datejust came the Day-Date. It's their flagship. It's only in precious metals. It's the statement piece, So I think this is kind of it might not necessarily be the most expensive model or the most complex or anything, but the Day-Date really kind of has a special place in Rolex's catalog, and there isn't a quote-unquote cheap version. You can get a Datejust starting at like $7,000. You can get stainless steel Submariners for a 4-figure, not 5-figure price point. Still, there's no way to touch a Day-Date that isn't, tens of thousands, and that's just kind of what makes that watch the quintessential statement piece. And I struggle to think of another gold watch that's more recognizable or more influential than the Day-Date. So, yeah, it's kind of the Rolex in that regard.
Ariel?
What I like about this watch is that it's the perfect one watch collection for people who aren't watch lovers that just want something that says, I sort of made it. It's the rare daily wear gold watch. Obviously, they make it in platinum as well, but it's engineered to be water resistant enough, to have a bracelet which is durable enough, to be comfortable enough, to be accurate enough. It's not necessarily for watch lovers. In fact, watch lovers have never liked this because they're like, well, I can always wear it, but also I have no occasion to wear it unless I'm going to the office and then I want to have something more distinctive. So it's always had a very strange relationship with people who are watch enthusiasts because it defies most categories and also kind of isn't specific enough that you can tell a deep story around it because it's just sort of meant to be a lot of things at the same time. So I love seeing it on people that aren't into watches, like I said, can get this to reward themselves and wear it all the time. Again, when we started being collectors, nobody cared about this stuff at all. And then when like all the eyes were on Rolex, people started to care again. I think that these will also be something you can get sort of a discount on again in the future. But these are an institution. It's like, it's like those big sedans. Like, yes, it's not for everyone, but like some people love those things. And every time you see someone who enjoys it, you know that they love it. You know that they rewarded themselves with it.
Yeah, I do like a Day-Date. I don't think I've ever actually worn one, now that I think about it. I've worn Datejusts, but these are very pretty. And as you say, if you're going to have a gold watch, and you don't want it to weigh down your wrist because you bought something that was solid gold, like a solid gold Planet Ocean in 44 mil, then this is probably your best go-to option if you want to flash the "I've made it" symbology around the whatever crowd you hang about with. Is this still the future of Rolex? Is this just where we're always going to be? Is this where we always end up, which is solid gold, smaller, Rolex watches are just being the absolute base. We get all the fashions, all the trends, but actually at the end of the day, this is what people who, as you say, buy one watch want. They want something that says, yep, it's Rolex, I've made it, I've got the promotion of, I own the fast car, I own the boat, I own the watch. Is this what it's all about? Forget about your Daytonas and your MB&Fs and your Exotica. That really, it's just about what can you buy that passes on the message the easiest to those around you. And this is that watch.
Does a good job at it.
Yeah.
And at Rolex, the past is the future.
I don't think it's for those people who already have the boat and the jet and the whatever. I think it's also sort of a quitting watch in the sense that you get to a point where you can afford one of these and you just wear it for the rest of your life, and it's going to hold up well, and you're just done with it. I don't think that this is, not in my mind, it's not associated with this super excessive wealth. I think we have tons of other watches on those top 50 Morgan Stanley list that we looked at earlier in the show. That is good for that. I think a Day-Date 36 is a little bit different. I think your life has worked out particularly well for you. You get one of these and then you're out of watches for the rest of your life, because this is basically, this delivers all of it. If you want a little bit more discreet one, you get one in white gold. If you want the original, you get it in yellow gold. Boom, you're done.
So this is your one and done. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Right. Audemars Piguet had a bit of a release. There's been some good stuff floating around the internet about some of the watches that have been released. But this is the one we cover, or Ariel cover. There's also, what's that other range of Audemars Piguet? The 1059.
1159.
Yeah, whatever it is. Nobody cares. This is the one they care about. The Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, in this case, an offshore self-winding chronograph in black for 2025. There was a wee rumour going around the internet that the I don't know, I can't remember what they called it, the super massive complication that Audemars stuck out less than a year ago was actually supposed to be the watch that was released for this anniversary, but a certain ex-CEO pushed it through so that to celebrate the anniversary, they've been scrambling around a bit to actually say, right, what are we doing for 2025? And this is one of those that they have come up with. So Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, Ariel, tell us about this.
Okay, yeah, there was no grand complication. There was some tourbillons. The one that I wrote about was the all-black ceramic version of the most modern Royal Oak Offshore in the 42 millimeter case. It's interesting. They have two watches that are called the Royal Oak Offshore chronograph, automatic chronograph. They have two versions of the same movement with the different orientation of the chronograph. One's 42 millimeters and comes on a bracelet. The other one is 43 millimeters and comes on a strap. One has the more traditional pushers. One has the more, we'll call them modern, really big pushers. This is interesting because I think that people would have said a lot of criticisms about this maybe 15 years ago. The fact that it just says AP on the dial, not Audemars Piguet, is, some would say it's disrespectful to yourself. The fact that it kind of doesn't do a lot of things original, even though it's very attractive and refined. They'd say, hey, you're AP, you're supposed to do new things with the offshore all the time. You could have fooled me that this wasn't already in their collection. But after having said all that criticism, it is a genuinely pretty watch. Anyone would like to wear it. It's, the Royal Oak in black on the bracelet with this sort of offshore kind of more macho styling. It's cool. It's an undeniably nice watch. It's extremely expensive as well. It's over $80,000. Doesn't need to cost that much for a black ceramic on black ceramic bracelet chronograph watch. But you do it because Audemars Piguet is now more than a watch. It's a statement. It's a brand. You're in part of a club, and that's fine. You want to show off that way. This one sort of does that. So it's a very high desirable piece. It's hopefully as impeccably refined and detailed as I would expect at this price point. But it's strange because it's slightly self-effacing on themselves to just say AP on there. I mean, On the movement, it says AP. On the rotor, on the dial, it says AP. It's a bit weird for me. It's hard for me to get over. Love it, but I think it's a very ambitiously priced, and I don't know how everyone feels about it, but it is pretty and cool. I would definitely wear it.
Gentlemen, how are you feeling about this?
Well, I just found that they did one already that where it said AP and Audemars Piguet on it. It was a black ceramic version, basically the same version of the Beast, which had a more retro style dial than this one. Just a little bit more. This is the more modern hands and the indices. And that one had the old, oblong or whatever little pause for the indices and the hour and minute hands. So that was basically an old dial put into or placed inside this black ceramic exterior. So largely the same watch. Actually, that was a little bit less expensive, if we can call it that. So yeah, there already is a version. I also dislike this rebranding into AP. I think it's very rapper in a way, where they couldn't be bothered to remember what AP stands for. And the fact that this watch does not appear to say Audemars Piguet anywhere on it. It just says AP on the crown, AP on the rotor, AP on dial. Maybe it says somewhere on the movement, but apparently not so much. I think that's sort of a waste to rebrand Audemars Piguet into AP. I think that's a very double-digit IQ decision.
It does. It helps the rappers because it's easier to rhyme AP than Audemars Piguet. So maybe it's just helping the audience. It's maybe an easier phrase to rap with.
They're suggesting them just for the songwriters. They're giving these out. Like, easier to say now. You can rhyme something with that.
Yeah, you rhyme. Stop rhyming Rolex with everything and start rhyming AP with it. Ripley, if you had the money, would this even figure on the APs you'd want to buy?
The offshore is a tough one for my wrist to pull off. I think it's probably the most interesting side of AP's collection, but they are chunky watches. Like Ariel said, I'm shocked this watch didn't already exist. Like if you just showed me this watch and said, when did this come out? I would not have said 2025. I feel like they made a ton of watches very similar to this. But it's not a bad looking piece. I think AP is has a bit of an amazing ability to make a watch that looks like it should already have existed for several years in their catalog and it be a new SKU. But that said, a lot of those times those watches aren't bad looking in any capacity. I think this is a perfect example. It's an all black, macho, tough looking rendition of a Royal Oak. What's not to like? I don't know if this would actually be the one I would want for myself, but it's very unobjectionable, all things considered.
Now, this is the one that's got quite a lot of the Instagram chat going, the new perpetual calendar. Now, first of all, it describes itself as the dial display follows the European format. I've never, maybe it's just my ignorance of perpetual calendars, I've never heard a European format described that the day has to be at 9 o'clock. That familiar to anybody? And if that's the European, what are the alternatives?
I have no idea what Audemars Piguet is talking about.
They're making stuff up, aren't they?
I think it's the sequence in the way that you would write it. Today is Monday, the 3rd of March. That's how you write it, 2025, not like March the 3rd, 2025,
oh, maybe
Monday
because they do
whatever.
the week, the peripheral week. That maybe that's why it is.
No, but while Americans get it wrong, obviously, in writing the month before the day, when you do the kind of, when you write it just in numerals, if you were writing it longhand, would you write Monday the 1st of March? Or would you write, what other way is there of doing it? But you wouldn't
Monday,
write
March the 1st. It's like
but either way, the day of the week is at 9 o'clock. I can understand that maybe you'd write Monday, March the 1st or Monday the 1st of March. But what they're suggesting in this is that having the day at 9 o'clock is uniquely European. I can't think of anyone that uses Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that would say it any other way.
This is the lamest justification for a 6-figure price watch in a long time. This is just stupid. This is whoever goes for this. This belongs to like the $400 micro brand quasi perpetual quartz nonsense. You know, it's like, oh, we rotated the movement like this, and now it's like that. It doesn't make too much sense. Has zero utility, and it's probably hysterically priced. So just. Bad.
Okay, but have a guess at what in this watch really set the internet alight this week, though. See if you can spot it. I'll give you a wee moment to have a look at some of the aesthetic. If I direct you towards the telling of the date, what do you see when you go round that date wheel?
Well, it's 30 and then 1, not 31. Is that the issue or what?
No, how 24
that's one of the issues.
At
You've also
24
got
turns into
1,
26.
3, 5, then 7 and 8, then the 10 is backwards and looks like it says 0, 1. And then the 12 looks like an upside down 21 that's like a mirror image. So they've decided that to renumber it this way, whereas normally what you'd have is you'd have the 311. You'd have 31.
Is this the European format where you had a few too many glasses of Bordeaux and then you end up doing this?
This is the Finnish format where all we do all day because it's dark all the time.
I'm okay with it. It's dumb, but I'm okay with it.
But normally all you would do is
first
have
the QWERTY keyboard. They're like, "What the hell is this?"
But normally all you do is you do 31, 1 at the top, and then you just make the 1 red or the 31 red. You just
there's no extra numbers. It's okay.
But it just looks odd. It's not right. I mean, I don't know how much this watch is.
Quartz sells. It's over 100,000. You know it.
Well, listen. Let's play guess the price of the Audemars Piguet. It's entirely possible that they've not even said what the price is. But let's play guess the price. If we have to answer it next week, we will.
What's the case material of that one? Is that the platinum one?
Let's see. Building on its heritage past, they've reimagined the perpetual calendar. How can you reimagine a calendar? I mean, you're not Julius Caesar.
First it was the all-in-one printer, then it was the all-in-one computer. Now we have the all-in-one crown.
There we go. It's 1 movement, 3 aesthetics. I hadn't appreciated it. It's the same movement also in the 1159. Only, and the
no
10,
one likes that in
11...
cars. 1 engine, 3 cars. That's not sexy.
Right. I think
although it does happen.
Bearing in mind what we were saying about the impossibility of watch websites. Oh, there we go.
There's the price.
There's the price. Hide your eyes. Avert your eyes. Okay, we've ruined the game. 95,000.
So about 100,000.
Yeah.
Wow. How reasonable?
Does that actually feel reasonable?
I was really close.
That's close to reasonable pricing for Audemars Piguet. Maybe we've all just completely lost the plot to think that a 90.
And this is where Frederic Constant is like, we have something similar for 5,000.
I was exactly thinking about Frederic Constant. Exactly. Yes. But that's not European, Ariel.
To do works.
Now, I think I might be correct in saying that this perpetual calendar, bear in mind it's one of our pet peeves, is controlled entirely from the crown.
That's
don't
good.
Think it has any pushers. I suspect that it's probably controlled in the bizarrest way possible from the crown.
Hopefully.
You probably need to unscrew it, screw it back in backwards or something to get it to work. But
it's like 16 positions.
Controlled. 16, yeah, it'll be like that. It just the crown just keeps on coming out, just extends. You know, they've used the crown. What was the Audemars Piguet? That's the round movement, but in the rectangular watch. It's got with a really long crown stem. They've just used that. It just keeps on coming out.
Oh, that was the reimagined or something.
The reimagined, yes, the reimagined thing.
Looks like you're trying to pick a lock when you're just trying to set the time.
Yeah. You can use it. It's a multi-tool. Right. So that's it from Audemars Piguet. Finally, this week,
thank you, Rick.
We will have a look at this watch. Just hit the website just now. And I don't know whether this has come in and you've reviewed it because it was used, Ariel, when the Cubitus came out. Everyone was like, wait a minute, you could just buy a Marsh Lab. And this is the Marsh Lab. I don't know why it's Marsh LA.B. Maybe you can explain. AM2 Slim GMT Automatic. Okay, this name already needs cut down. Meals.
That's the shortened version already.
Yeah. How do you pronounce that?
Millesime?
Millesime? March 2025 watch. Okay, I've kind of given up now that I've had to read the name.
We can't get past the name. Why even bother going further?
That's right. We'll give up here.
I already know how you feel about it.
Is this a nice watch?
It's 35 millimeters and you can't pronounce it. I mean, just move on.
And it's got how many fonts is it? Let's start, as we mean to continue, by doing a font count on this watch.
Very good. Proceed, sir.
I'm seeing like date window is its own font.
Yes, it is.
The rehot is definitely a different font.
One is stretched and the other one is squished, basically. It's the same font, but one is like this and one is like that.
The Marsh Lab is its own font. The GMT, I would say, is also its own font. And the titanium is also its own font. So there's 5 fonts on the front of this watch. Do we think, before we reveal all, that there's more fonts on the back?
I hope
Hopefully.
so.
I want cursive or something like that.
That's there's one. Well, that Swiss is a different from the
Swiss
MBT.
is a different one, yes.
Yeah,
like
that's 2 fonts on the back. Yeah, there's definitely 2 additional fonts on the back, and then whatever this is. So yeah, Ariel,
okay.
Should we care about this watch? It got a lot of PR after the Cubitus. Is that they're even worth looking at?
Well, they took the watch called the AM2 GMT, which Ripley looked at, which was cool. And they made a smaller version of it. Even though it's thicker, it's called the Slim. Don't ask. So this is the AM2 Slim GMT titanium, 0.25 millimeters thicker than the normal one. But the difference is one's 39 millimeters wide, one's 35 millimeters wide. And the proportions are actually nice. It's got a Le G110 automatic GMT movement. It basically operates similarly to at a 2893, but it's got 68 hours of power reserve. In titanium, it's very nicely finished, slightly old school bracelet. But again, for someone that wants an interesting shape, but not too large, that's a GMT. There's not a lot of watches. I still prefer the bigger size, but the proportions actually are a little bit nicer on this one.
Ripley, you'd reviewed a previous one. How's this fitting?
I don't love that it's thicker, but I like the decreased case size. I think these are really cool. I think the case is a bit more unique than the Cubitus and the kind of the crown, which is definitely divisive, sticking out at 4. I personally like it. But I think this is a nice looking watch. It's a different take on the GMT. There's lots of very kind of tooly GMTs. You have dressy GMTs, and this kind of exists a little bit in the middle. It's not a dress watch per se, but it's not like your burly dive watch with a bezel type of deal. And I'm curious to see how this would wear on the wrist. I think that's a good size for this style of case, since rectangular watches generally wear larger than circular equivalents. But I think it looks quite nice.
Is it a captain's hat GMT?
I was just going to say, this guy, so the website, for those watching on YouTube, A Blog to Watch Weekly Live, or the main A Blog to Watch channel, if you want to watch the edited highlights, this guy wearing the pilot's outfit, this has just come from a fancy dress shop, unironed by the looks of it. I mean, it's clearly a short sleeve shirt he's wearing because there's no cuffs showing. or it's a completely fake shirt. It's just one of those ones you can wrap on and Velcro on the back.
Warning, low production value model shoot. Warning.
Yes. This is
all they had was the jacket and the hat. All they had was the jacket and the hat. Someone,
it's
let me borrow your
not a bad
sunglasses.
picture. Come on.
He's definitely wearing Bermuda shorts when you scroll down.
Probably is.
One of those newsreaders. He's got his jeans on.
At least they didn't Photoshop the watch on him, okay? That's a real man wearing a real watch.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so £1,800 for this value proposition, just about right.
It's a bunch of original
titanium,
parts.
yeah.
It's just hard for them to charge any less. You may not like it for this price, but they're not selling them being like, oh my God, we made out so great.
Yeah. Yeah, I respect the amount of work that they put into this. I don't think it's overpriced at all. All titanium, unique parts, as Ariel is saying. I think it's
so that's
it's
the
great.
bigger one you're looking at.
This is the bigger one. This is the how can you tell? Yeah, so this is a smaller one, the Slim GMT. We're looking at on the screen now.
There's the AM2, the AM2 Slim, the AM2 GMT, the AM2 Slim GMT. They come in steel, they come in titanium.
Slim Jim.
There's a lot of mixing and matching going on here.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll leave it at that. That's good. Yeah, well, that's kind of our show for this week.
That could have gone worse for March Lab. I feel like you, yeah.
We didn't play Hit Miss Maybe on it. We're saving up our Hit Miss Maybes for another week. So that's it from us from the main show. If you want to tune in for a little bit of extra chat or preamble, go to aBlogtoWatchWeekly Live. We will not inflict the WhatsApp tune on you this week. Just to let you know, though, that if you want to get in touch with the show, you can email. What can you email? Podcast at ablogtowatch.com or WhatsApp on +44 7386 690. What's the last three numbers, gents? Last number. Hey, Ripley's learning. That's good. We've only got another 19 numbers to learn. So that's it from us this week. Have a great week, everybody. Speak to you again soon. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.